moving on to the Mother Jones Awards.
Well, the backstory for the winner of this year's Mother Jones Award starts out toward the end of the Workers' Center's office hours on the first Monday in April. I was puttering around trying to get a few things wrapped up while slowly shutting things down and getting ready to close up. And suddenly, two people sort of wandered in looking kind of lost and said, we'd like to talk to somebody about something related to work. And I assure you people, you have no idea how often we hear those words, talk to somebody about something related to work. Just about anything can come after it. There's no guessing. So I turned things back on. I got my clipboard out, got their contact information, and settled back, and I said, all right, tell me what you got going on, and was ready for whatever crazy narrative of managerial abuse I was about to hear. And then they just looked at me and said together, we want to start a union.
So it was actually very quickly after that time that we actually partnered with a union that we're working out of Rochester, which has been an incredibly solid union in our estimation at the Workers' Center called Workers United, part of the Rochester Regional Joint Board. And the workers basically decided to have a union election. They went to management, and there was first a little bit skeptical as to whether they should be neutral in an election, but they decided to do that. I actually played a role in that as well. And these workers did incredible. Within 2 months of coming to the Workers' Center, they had a full-fledged union, and negotiations are taking point to this very day right now. It is our joint pleasure today to introduce the award to the Gimme Coffee Barista of Workers United, Local 28383.
Thank you guys so much. We wouldn't have been able to do any of this without help from the Tompkins County Workers Center and Workers United, and of course our very own Richard, who's now videotaping us right now. Thank you so much. So.
Hi there. This is so weird. Thank you for coming to the coffee shop. That is very important to us. Seeing you guys every day. This job has changed my life, and now that we've unionized, it's changed my life even more. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you, everyone.
Hi. I just want to throw in, continue to come see us at our coffee shops. We love seeing your beautiful faces and making your day.
It's incredibly important to add that the goal of both of the Gimme Coffee Baristas as well as Workers United as well as the Tompkins County Workers Center is to organize the larger hospitality industry in Ithaca and Tompkins County and beyond. Our experience at the Workers Center is a disproportionate amount of the cases that come to our Workers' Rights Hotline are workers that are working in the hospitality industry. There's a lot of ways in which there's an excess, especially in the restaurant industry. I mean, it actually seems like a very unregulated industry, and it feels like I can say that with some level of authority at the Workers' Center. So if you know that people that have problems at work, refer them to the Workers' Rights Hotline. Come to the Workers' Center above Autumn Leaves Used Books. We're going to now begin to present the next Mother Jones Award, and I'm going to be joined by Rob Brown and Sam Mason.
In addition to Rob and Pete and Richard Bensinger, this lovely lady has also been instrumental in helping unionize the Gimme Baristas and specifically being there for me during some hard times.
It's my pleasure to introduce Ellen David Friedman, the winner of the Mother Jones Award. Ellen.
Sisters and brothers, all right, happy Labor Day. So, I know there's some people in this crowd who are of my generation. That means we grew up at the last moment in U.S. history, which was the 1960s and 70s, when in any serious numbers, workers looked around and essentially said, what the fuck? What is going on? That is, there was a crisis of capitalism at that time. There was a squeeze on people's livelihoods. You couldn't pay rent. You couldn't put gas in the car. You didn't know if you were going to be able to pay for college. And sometimes, just sometimes, those people would look around and first say, do I have a union? And most of them then, like now, did not. What do? They do the only thing we know how to do when we're faced with that crisis, which is you try and build a union. It doesn't matter what your workplace is. It doesn't matter what kind of worker you are. Every single worker needs a union. But then there's a second question we have to ask. If you have a union and it's not doing the job, what do? You got to rebuild your union from the bottom up. Rebuild your unions. Make them democratic, like our brothers here. Jason David, UAW, 2300. Rebuilding his union from the bottom up, like the Cornell graduate students. Cornell graduate students union, trying to build a bottom-up union, like the Gimme baristas. It's the only thing we can do. We need democracy. We need a radical perspective. We need to understand that our power is only with each other. Our power is never above. It's only in our hands. Thank you, comrades.
Don't waste time mourning, organize. It is my pleasure to introduce Megan Graham, who will be giving the Joe Hill Award.
This award is being given to 3 of my dear colleagues, all powerful union organizers in their own right. Over the last year, we started calling them the Ithaca College Fired 3. These 3 professors saw injustice at their college and they wanted to make a difference, so they invested their time and their energy into building a union for full-time contingent faculty at IC to protect temporary workers at the college. Without these 3 and the work they put in, I guarantee you, the 60-odd full-time contingent professors at IC, myself included, would not have a union today. We would not have the benefits we want in our contracts for full-timers. Rachel Gunderson, Shoshe Cole, and Dave Kornreich fought and won, and they made their community a better place for all of us, and we owe them our thanks. But the Joe Hill Award is sometimes a little bittersweet. This makes sense, given that it's named after someone who was executed for union activism by the state. These 3 professors were fired for their organizing efforts. They were discarded by Ithaca College, punished for trying to improve their working conditions. That is clear to anyone who hears the facts of the case and hears that they were beloved professors who taught there for many years and did an excellent job. But what we learned this year is that what's clear to everyone may not be clear to the NLRB, may not be clear to our labor laws, and unfortunately, these 3 lost their NLRB case. They were fired for organizing a union, and we were unable to get them reinstated. Because Ithaca College had created these temporary positions, had created disposable workforce, that meant that according to their rules, these people could be fired for union organizing as long as they kept it hush-hush, and that's what happened. But in their contract, these 3 fought for and won rights that will protect what happened to them from happening to anybody else at Ithaca College. The unfair job conditions that allowed IC to fire them do not exist there anymore because of their hard work and their passion. They kept organizing even after they knew they had been fired. They knew they were going out. But they saw the work that they had started all the way through to the end and created a contract that would protect everybody else. The Joe Hill Award is a reminder that workers have been seeing injustice done for a very long time, and that we see injustice done to us still today all over. It reminds us that we have to keep fighting because corporatized and heartless employers like Ithaca College are never going to stop seeing us as the enemy. I wish that Rachel, Shoshe, and Dave were still part of our union. I wish they could continue that good work with us. But because they can't, I want to thank them on behalf of everybody who benefited from their efforts. And I want to acknowledge the injustice that was done to them. And I want to remind us all that we still have a lot of work to do. Thank you very much, Rachel, Dave, and Shosh.
And I'm really glad that because of what we won in the contract, things that happened to the three of us cannot happen again. For example, Dave and I applied for a longer-term job, and neither of us was given an interview. And now any contingent faculty member who applies for a job, a longer job at Ithaca College, is required to be given an interview. Also, this would have been my third year full-time at IC. Dave was there for 7 years in the end, and Rachel for 5 or 6 years. 6 years in the end. They would have had 5-year contracts at this point. After one more year, I would have needed to have a reason to be fired and would then get a 2-year contract. So what happened to us cannot happen to people in the future.
I'm glad to hear that because of our efforts, because of what we were able to do, that contingent faculty at IC have job security, better pay, and a better working environment at Ithaca College.
I'm really excited for the people that did stay. All the work that they're doing to launch it with Ithaca College, it's a lot of work, and they're making it happen. So thanks to Megan Graham and Rachel Kaufman and Brody Burrows and Sarah Grunberg. Yeah, we'll get to that. Thank you.
And Angela Cornell.
Okay, this year's Friend of Labor Award goes to the Cornell Labor Law Clinic. So this is probably the best kept secret. Unfortunately, not the Angela would like more people to know about it. But the Labor Law Clinic is available to work on projects for the local unions and newly organized groups, and anybody that needs labor advice. I think that's, maybe I'm stretching a little bit, Angela. I'll let you clean it up. But it gives her, I believe this was your idea, Angela, to start this labor law clinic. It gives young Cornell, traditionally young, Cornell law students an opportunity to work on labor issues.
So amongst all the people that we just thanked upon receiving our awards, we've saved extra time for Angela and the students she leads in the Cornell Labor Law Clinic. And these people are amazing. Just the amount of time that they put into helping us last year and helping us with our case and prepping us to testify in front of the National Labor Relations Board and sitting with us as we testified to them was just incredible.
I just wanted to add on that when we found out that we were not going to be returning at Ithaca College, Cornell came to us right away and said, "What can we do for you?" When nobody else, we didn't really know what else to do. And personally, my concern was actually that they were going to, Ithaca College might be letting go of all the full-timers, but I wasn't for sure knowing that. And so actually filing the charge with the National Labor Relations Board as soon as we did could have potentially prevented more people from being let go. So even though we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, that case was very important that they immediately took that on with us, I think in February or March. So thank you for your willingness and your time.
Even though the outcome for us personally might not have been what we would have wished for, Angela, you and the students at the Labor Law Clinic helped us put Ithaca College on notice that we will fight them at the ballot box, at the bargaining table, and in the courtroom when necessary. And because of you, we were able to tell them exactly how strong we are when we fight together. Thank you.
It was an honor and a privilege to work with the contingent faculty and to work with all of our labor clients. It is such meaningful and rewarding work. And the one thing I want to say is we filed 2 charges. It's true we weren't successful on the first charge, but on the second charge, Ithaca College today is posting a notice about workers' rights and a commitment not to violate the act. So we prevailed on one and didn't on the other, but at least we've got that notice posting and an agreement to change the unlawful practices that they had also engaged in simultaneously with the non-renewal. So we're happy at least for something, and we wish we could have been celebrating your reinstatement. These are hard struggles, and with solidarity we can do more. It was a real honor and privilege. Thank you so much.
The 2017 Friend of Labor Award presented to Cornell's Labor Law Clinic and the founding director, Professor Angela Cornell. Congratulations.
Over 10 years ago, UAW Local 2300 began recruiting members to volunteer at Watkins Glen International during the annual NASCAR and Indy races. In return for the many, many hours of union volunteer work, the track made a substantial donation to any charity the union chose. Many thousands of dollars have been raised and donated in this way over the years, particularly to the Robin Fund. The Robin Fund is administered by GIAC. It provides small grants and loans to local working families, including union members, to help them manage a financial crisis. Many families, for example, have avoided homelessness, foreclosure, and utility shutoffs with the help of the Robin Fund. Spearheading UAW Local 2300's Watkins Glen charity fundraising work was longtime union leader Harry Evans. Harry helped organize the union in the early 1980s, going on to serve as steward, zone rep, vice president, president, and peer counselor. And some of you may also remember him as one of the regular cooks here at the Labor Day festivities for many years. Harry's death in 2010 left a big hole in many of our hearts, in the union's leadership, and in the annual fundraising efforts at Watkins Glen for the Robin Fund. While the union attempted to continue the program in Harry's absence, it has struggled in recent years. The person receiving special recognition from our labor community this year has stepped up in a big way to ensure that this important volunteer fundraising effort continues. His name is Eric Evans, and he is Harry's son. Eric is a longtime UAW Local 2300 member and leader, a bus mechanic and union steward at TCAT, and a former union executive board member. I have great pleasure in making this award to Eric Evans.
I will accept the award for sure, and on behalf of all my family, my wife, Christina, Megan, Matthew, my son, and my dad in heaven.
Okay, now to this section of the program that seems like some people really like this section. It's called the Goat of Labor Awards.
I'm going to give a little bit of history here. So in 2007 and 2008, we had a major economic downturn. And at that time, Cornell did a study by Bain Capital. Does anybody know who that is? Mitt Romney's anti-union busting firm, correct. That's when the plan was put in place. The plan is to beat down and minimize the unions. It's real simple, and that's just part of it. There's a lot more to it. There's a whole lot more to it than just the unions, but from our perspective, that's exactly what's going on. We've seen it in the at the bargaining table. We've seen it in the grievance hearings, and now this year it has gone to a new level, and that's why we decided it's time that we let the general public know what's really going on at Cornell University. Cornell University has, I believe it's 4 or 5 different collective bargaining agreements. Its 2 biggest groups, the biggest is the UAW, and the second biggest is the Building Trades Bargaining Unit. This year, starting back in the spring, Cornell brought in a developer called EDR They're out of Tennessee. They go around and they build housing for universities that will have them, and they get a guaranteed rental agreement, and they build non-union. So EDR came in, we checked them out, we researched them, we found out they had worked in Syracuse, that was the closest around here. We found out how they operated, so we met with them. And they said, don't worry, we'll try to do right by the local unions. But we're not obligated to use union labor. So then we met with Cornell, same thing. We're going to try to do right by the unions, but we're not obligated to use union labor because they are correct. Under this type of a scenario, when Cornell is building on their own property but using a developer, they circumvent our collective bargaining agreements. It is a weakness in our labor laws. So they move forward. We go to the town board meetings. EDR goes in front of the board and says, don't worry, we're going to take care of the local unions. Don't worry, we're going to take care of the local unions. They said it 6 or 7 times. But at the end of the day, they're shafting us. And it's not just the building trades, it's the UAW as well. The buildings are being built non-union, and they will be maintained non-union. They don't have to use the building trades, and they don't have to use the UAW. So why does that hurt so bad? Well, for the building trades guys, when you see vehicles heading out of Ithaca with, it's a double cab truck, a quad cab truck, whatever you call them, with 5 guys in it, that's 5 paychecks leaving this community. They might spend a few bucks while they're here working, but the rest of that money's gone, folks. It's gone. And Cornell knows this, and they say, their answer to us was, we can't afford to borrow money to build anymore. These developers are willing to put up their own money, so we're going to let them use our property to build their construction with our students, and that's how we're going to build going forward. So this is a big deal. It's going to definitely hurt us. This project alone is about $70 million worth of construction, and it'll take 16 months to build. And right now I've already got people coming in off school jobs that don't have anywhere to go. So I know that some of my people won't get enough time in this year for unemployment, and that would have been a job they could have gone on. So it is painful and it is hurtful, and therefore Cornell University is a go to labor this year. Thank you.
So yeah, I am a member of Cornell Graduate Student Union and also the rank and file Democratic Caucus. RFDC forever. Okay, so yeah, I'm a student at Cornell, and I was so excited. Last year was my first year to get there and see that there was a graduate student union, right? And I was totally on board. And then when I found out about the ILR school and the Cornell Labor Law, right? Cornell seems to be this amazing place for labor. And in fact, as Pete says, there are a bunch of people there that are amazing for labor. There's a million great things about Cornell. But when the graduate students asked to be allowed to decide for themselves if they would like a student union, Cornell pretended to agree and then ran little propaganda campaigns and then, sending emails saying, we're a fan of unions, just not in our backyard. And, is it expected? Maybe, right? But at the same time, if you're going to be a leader in labor, right, and you're going to care about the community, not only the community of Ithaca, but also the community of students on your campus, and you claim to love it and champion it, and then when a group of people in your community tries to build one for themselves, and you say, no, you can only have a community if we give it to you. That's what Cornell said to us. And so, we continue. We had a recognition election. It was very close, and there are contested votes, and it's still in the works. There's still hope yet for CGSU, but Cornell had an opportunity here, right? And they had an opportunity with you guys. They had an opportunity to practice what they preach, to live the future of labor how it should be. And instead, they are sitting in their office, fingers crossed, waiting for Donald Trump to appoint a friendlier NLRB rep. So, you know, who's the bad guy in this story? So Cornell can do better, and we hope they will. And CGSU is going to stay united and make sure that they do. So, thanks.
Dave Marsh with an honorable mention on the GOAT.
So, does anybody remember who the GOAT was last year? Who? Cayuga Medical Center. All right. So, Cayuga Medical Center, since last year, went ahead and fired 2 nurses. One was the lead organizer. So we did pick the right GOAT. We definitely picked the right GOAT. We knew we picked the right GOAT. And fortunately, the NLRB in that case did work, and they were reinstated. One has, at least one, I don't know if both, but one has moved on to a different job. Cayuga Medical Center still has problems, folks. They're understaffed. They can't get people that will stay because it is horrible to work there. And I'm hearing this from nurses. Last year, Cayuga Medical Center, for many reasons, was our GOAT. Our honorable mention last year, if you recall, was Hayner Hoyt, a contractor from Syracuse, who was busted for falsifying a veteran-owned business. And we have those documents, and we share those documents with, hopefully, responsible construction owners. People that will do work in the name of a veteran when they are not veterans to the tune of $12 million in contracts are bad people. They paid a $5 million fine, and they're still in business. And that's the way business goes when you're big. Cayuga Medical has decided to hire Hayner Hoyt as their contractor for their newest project. We sent the documents to Cayuga Medical Center saying, don't hire Hayner Hoyt, they're bad. And they went ahead and hired them anyway. So you be the judge. That's what I wanted you to know. Thank you.